What is good, everybody? Happy Tuesday. How is everybody? We'll get started here in a second. So I am still, I don't know if I had this last week, but I am dealing with like a horrendous headache. So I am going to try and make it short tonight. But I do want to jump on and kind of dive into it and start going through what I'm looking at, maybe kind of looking at some of the stuff that you guys have marked out. Definitely give you guys some stuff if you want a good back test to dive into. But yeah, let's dive into it here. Hold on. What do we got? What's up? What's up? Hey, how's everybody doing? All right. So real quick, I always like, if it's not part of your routine, I definitely suggest to throw it in there. But yeah, perfect. All right. So I am recording. You definitely want to take a look at the news, right? I don't put so much into the fundamentals as far as determining how I'm going to trade it, but I do take a look at the fundamentals because they're going to set me up for the positions that I'm going to be ultimately looking at. You can kind of see going into it, the way I look at this week's news calendar, it's just a bunch of fluff. That's all it is. It is from the Federal Reserve side on the US dollar. It is just FOMC members talking. And especially those of you guys in the US, if you're keeping up with the financial news, all it is talk. There is no like actual plan on how to curb this inflation. There is no plan on how to, try to take down some of this raging oil prices. I'm sure globally, everybody I've been talking to is seeing such a huge increase in the price of oil, which translates into, gasoline prices skyrocketing. And all these idiots here, they just want their, just look at how many speeches are going to be happening. We're talking just on the Fed side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 speeches this week. Which is just a bunch of fluff. You can see that they still have yet to release this stupid thing. They just keep talking about it. So, the manipulation is there. You just got to be able to kind of weed out the noise and see where you want to actually get your positions in. So, going forward, the really only thing that really I'm even interested in is going to be some of the Canadian dollar stuff, because I am looking at some I'm looking at odd CAD, NZD CAD, CAD Chef. I am looking at those just to see. I seriously doubt we're going to see anything tomorrow that's going to really give us some significant movements, but it's there, and I'm willing to take a look at it. And of course, the last thing that I'm really going to be paying attention to is on the indices side. Oil reserves come out Wednesday, and then we've got the adjusted unemployment claims. So we'll see how all that plays out. Really, it looks like there's a lot on here, but none of this stuff is really going to move the market tremendously. And all these FOMC members speeches that they're doing, it's not really going to cause a huge volatility. It may cause a little spike here and there, but that's about it. So going forward, I'll kind of run you through some of the stuff that I'm currently holding, which is actually not a lot. I've actually closed out quite a few of my positions, and we'll kind of go into what I'm holding. For those of you guys, and let me open up my Discord. Hold on. So, I've been waiting on EG for a while, and we were able to Thursday New York session, we were able to position ourselves in a really, really nice EG sell. It actually, it's well over a 1-to-100 on the first order, but I'll kind of walk you through our thought process on it. Let me just pull up my before shots real quick, kind of give you guys an idea. So ideally, let's just go up to a higher time frame, right? So everyone understands that we are, where the heck is, I'll tell you what, man, I know some of you guys have complained about it. I'm definitely complaining to TradingView about it. Like, they delete some of my damn markings. I don't know why. And it's after I save it and everything. All right. So it's no secret that EG, I've been bearish on EG for probably the last 24 months. And you can ultimately see that we are maintaining our lower time frame structure from here. This is our leg. So as EG, I know everybody was looking at this massive accumulation. For me, I wanted to position myself in a buy just in case we did get up into intraday structure from it. But it really never gave me an entry. All right, sorry. So out of that, this was going to be my first point of interest. All right. Yeah. I don't understand what they're doing, man. I've written them 2 emails and they have since gotten back to me. So we'll see what shenanigans they're doing. It's just, it's a bunch of hoopla. Okay. So, obviously we had this accumulation that invalidated a little bit of supply. And what I wanted to do was, as we got into the area, this is my first area that I wanted to get into. I wanted to see some evidence of sellers coming into the market. So fast forward to, or let's backtrack to Thursday. And this is kind of what we saw on Thursday. So here's the first, and where's the other chart? Here we go. All right. So very first thing is this, right? Fast forward to, don't worry about any of this price action here, right? But we get into this area, right? This was that news, that pound news from the week before. We saw that spike. We get into that area, and I really wasn't prepared to get into anything yet. But what you got to see is this, okay? So the very first thing you should be able to recognize is we have a distribution, right? You have a trading range, you have your UTAD. That UTAD, very importantly, does what? It breaks structure within the schematic. So at this point, I'm still not 100% convinced that this is going to be our big sell-off. But what we end up doing the very next day is coming in to 50% of the micro distro that occurred in here. And we did it in the form of a distribution, specifically London price action, right? So out of that, and then we make a new low, right? Out of that, it was very simple. From here, I want us to now come back and distribute out of this area, okay? So fast forward, this was the 9th. So this was Wednesday, all right? This was Wednesday. So now going into Thursday, we see this, all right? Still waiting for price to come up into this area. And this is New York session, okay? Coming into New York session, and here's those charts, right? So coming into New York session, you could see that I ultimately want price to come into this box, right? This is where I want price to come into. And this was the key for me, right? So when price, and I'm just gonna hide my drawings for a second. When price trades into that point of interest, it does so in the form of a distribution. Again, London price action. And then we do what? We break it. So at this point right here, that was the trigger for me, okay? That was ideally where I wanted to get into this market. That gave me the confirmations to go ahead and say, okay, now I'm ready to jump into some EG sells. And ultimately, that's what happened, right? What the idea was, I wanted to now get into a lower time frame distribution, all right? And I'll kind of show you what I was looking at. So coming down into the 1 minute, all right? This is what I was looking at, 2 points of interest that I wanted to play out of, okay? First point of interest was ultimately the slingshot that causes the break. So you can see we come into a distribution, which ultimately turns into a reaccumulation, right? We never get that break of structure. So no break of structure, no trade. But as we come into this price action here, where I'm waiting for us to get into a lower time frame distribution, this is where the magic happens, right? This is where ultimately I start to see. And from a 1 minute, it looked like a type 2 schematic, right? From a 1 minute. But if I jump down onto the seconds time frame, it was pretty clear. So for me, I had my 3 drives. There we go. I had my 3 drives. 1, 2, 3. And then this is my UTAD. All right. That's my UTAD. So what I wanted to do now is I needed us to break structure within that schematic. And I did, my very first entry was a little, I did jump the gun a little bit, but I did it with the line chart, right? So you can see this price action here, we do not break the low yet. But if I go over to the line chart, you can see we did. So in a case like this, I just didn't put full risk on. I think on this trade, what did I put? Yeah, okay. So on this trade, I put half my risk because this was, on this setup, I had, this was my 200K account. So 0.25% is $500. So I put half risk. I did $250. All right. And ultimately, so you could see the break, and now how I played it was I wanted to measure this move right here. So this entire push, I wanted to measure that. All right. And you can see that when price, there we go. So you can see that the 50% is right here. The 80% is right here. Okay. Here I go to blue. There we go. So this is the 80, this is the 50. So I had the area that I wanted to sell from out of there. And then to really refine it, what I wanted to do was I wanted to take this last push. And this is the 50% mark right here. So I ended up getting triggered right here on this wick is where I got triggered. And as soon as price now breaks the low and confirms this, I reduced my risk to the top of that wick. And I don't know if you could see the micro distro, but this is your distribution in here. All right. I'll even go down to a 5-second, give you guys a little better look at what it looked like. So there's your micro distro. And on the line chart, that's what it looks like, right? Here's your trading range. Ultimately, that's your UTAD. So out of that, what I ended up doing was I took an entry at 80%, which was right here. And you could see it kind of comes into that push right here. So I took a second entry. Again, I could put the full risk that I wanted to put on it because I was essentially at break even on this entry here. Price comes in, slaps me in. And then as soon as we make that low, reduced my risk to here, went to break even on that one. So at the very most, I was at risk a couple of pips. This order here, again, half risk, $250 on my 200K account is what I risked. And then this one here is now at break even. So I ended up just going to break even on it, managing it. And you'll see that the rest of New York session just kind of goes sideways, right? We end up, let me go to the 5-minute chart. We ended up going sideways with it. And then eventually my very first area that I'm going to take partials at is going to be right here. All right. That's where I'm taking my partials, obviously, because you could see that we have just started to create our legs. All right. So first area that I wanted to partial out happened in there. It ended up, I want to say while I was sleeping is where it actually triggered the take profit. But I partialed out quarter percent of my order. Both positions were secured there. And all right, let's get this thing kind of moving. Hold on. There you go. So yeah, this happened at like 3 o'clock, just right at London Open is where we take it. So closed out half of the order on both positions. It was at that point without spread. It was about a 1-13 and about a 1-28 on both orders. So after that, my next area that I'm going to partial out at is going to be this low right here, because now this is the most important low for me. This is the low that if we break, right, I'm going to be looking for potential order flow plays to go back down, right? How can you set take? So I use a position size calculator that is embedded in MT4, MT5. So here, hold on, I'll throw the link. Yeah, so I use this. And you can just, there's videos embedded in it. Nope, not that. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, so you can, especially, it's only if you use the desktop version, but you can use it there. Yeah. Yeah. So on mine, I just have 4, like it splits my orders into 4, and then I can take profits on different ones. So does your UT have to break the buying climax in ST? Yeah, for it to be an up thrust, it has to trade above it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, it does. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I ain't gonna lie. It's over the last year and a half, it's definitely changed how I trade. So anyway, yeah. So we ended up taking partials again right here at this low here. 85-200 was my partial out area. You'll see that we had a really decent accumulation, and then boom, we just break right through it. So ended up playing very nicely. And then we came into this area here. So I was actually looking for a hedge. Okay. I wanted to get into a hedge out of this accumulation that happened during news. I think I have it marked out. Hold on. Yeah. So we had a decent spring, right? We had a decent type 1 schematic that occurred in here. But I'm not going to just put a limit order, right? This required a schematic for me to get into. And you can see current price action, right? You could see the schematic printing here, 1 drive, you can consider that a 2 drive, and we just collapse. So there was no break of structure. There was nothing for price to warrant a buy. And, I'll be honest, I was sleeping at this time right here. So I woke up and I was pretty happy, hit my 3rd take profit. And now I'm just holding 25% volume at this point. So holding 25% volume, it's sitting at a 1 to 72 and a 1 to 158 from both orders. So I was pretty happy with it. This was one of 3 trades I caught last week. So I was more than happy. And even on a $250 risk, it was a decent return, especially taking partials along the way. So for me, the next course that I'm waiting on is I'm just waiting on price to take out this low, because at this point, this low did absolutely nothing. So I'm fully anticipating, maybe if we get a pullback, something like this, and just taking out that low, that's going to happen. To me, this is a huge buyer's trap. This is something, when you look at EG, and I know a lot of people kind of fell susceptible to this, but you look at EG, a lot of people I knew were trying to buy out of this when it did nothing. A lot of people were trying to buy out of this when it did nothing. A lot of people were trying to buy out of here, did nothing. A lot of people were trying to buy out of this, out of this. It's just a continuous buy trap. Now higher time frame, this is a massive accumulation in the making. But until I see some evidence of strength coming in from buyers, I'm treating it as just supply continuing to make lower lows and lower lows. So we are in the area where I would be looking for a potential buy. And at this point here, we do have, a 1 drive. We do have a 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive. This should have been the spring, but we should have broken that, and we didn't. So this is telling me sellers are just continuing to take this in. So on EG, obviously my main area that I'm going to be looking for is once we take that low, I'll be looking for price to come back into this area right here. This is going to be my first point of interest to continue taking these shorts. And my goal is I think it's about a 200 pip move still. My goal is to confirm the weekly distribution. All right. My goal at this point is trading below here. So if we can take this lower, then I'll be potentially looking to see if price is going to come back up into this area eventually. But at that point, we're talking, maybe the spring of next year. This should take us, a couple of more weeks to get into here. So if EG is falling, that means euro is weak against the pound. We would look to sell EU instead of GU, right? Yeah, but GU is, well, hold on. So no, because here, so if EG is bearish, right? The euro is weak. If the euro is weak, it means that the dollar is strong. So EU shorts, GU shorts, right? I mean, that's how I would look at it. And the chart supports it because I'm bearish on both EU. I'm in sells on EU, and I just haven't been able to get into sells on GU, but I'm bearish on GU. So yeah. Yeah. So that's my kind of goal with EG. I'm very I'm glad I'm still holding. So I'm in two positions, right? I'm still holding this position up here from September. And I'm in these positions here. So I'm just going to continue to ride these down. Can you look at GU? Yeah, throw me your GU chart. Let me see what you got. So that's Euro GBP. All right. And really I'm not going to be looking for anything until we take that low. And it's only, I want to say, where are we, like 27 pips? Yeah. So hopefully by tomorrow morning we'll be, by the time I wake up, this will be taken. Yeah. Update on Chef JPY. So we finally have confirmed this distro, right? We've confirmed the distro. Now I'm just waiting for a hedge sell. If I don't get the hedge sell, I don't care. You know, obviously this has a long way to go to get back down into some premium buy areas that I want to get into. You know, I've taken the 3 partials I'm going to take. You know, this one was a 1 to 500 and something. So I'm happy with the move Chef JPY gave me. Now it's just, I'm going to wait and see. I mean, this may take a couple of months for us to get back down into the areas where I want to look for the buys. So until we do that, you know, Chef JPY is just going to be one of those on management. If we do get into an area where I want to sell, you know, I will. I'm kind of eyeing this area in here, right? This is the area that I want to see. If we can get into tomorrow or something like that, and we give a really clean distribution, then I'll take it, right? And for me, it's pretty clean. Like you have the distribution that swept all of Asian highs, traded into this. You have the redistribution that potentially mitigated that prior area. So that's why I'm looking in this area as well. But anything between like the 23,800 to like 23,950, like that 15 pip range, anything in here that shows me a distribution, I'll hedge sell it. But I'm not gonna force it. You know, this is super. This is like the counter trend of all counter trends. So I'm perfectly content holding my buys and then going into, you know, just maintenance mode and waiting for price to kind of trade back down into my buy areas. All right. EU. So EU, I mean, nothing has changed. I honestly haven't gotten into an entry on EU since September. I'm still holding this entry over here. We are now at, what's she at? She's at a 1 to 178. I'm holding, at this point, I'm probably holding about 20% volume left, but there's no reason for me to close. And then I'm holding that one position from way the heck up here that has got, I think, like I want to say it's a 0.58 of a lot left, but it's still in a couple of $1,000 profit. So, you know, EU for me, you know, we're bearish. We're bearish on everything. I do have a point of interest. You know, I've been talking about us coming into this area here. We are at it now. This is a potential area where I would be looking for hedge buys, and just comparing it with dollar index. You know, I talked about last week where on the dollar side, if we broke this high, that we would be coming into this point of interest, right? This is where I wanted to see. So we're in the area on EU. We're not quite in the area on DXY. So, you know, obviously DXY is kind of lagging behind a little bit. But I need to see some really clean price action for me to even work a hedge in. And I mean, you could see I was looking for a potential buy out of this hedge here. Just we never got the break. So we do have 2 drives going on now, right? So we do have a potential accumulation. I'm just going to wait for the type 1 to confirm. You know, we need one more drive. We need a spring. We need a break of structure, and then I would look for a potential buy to take this higher, right? But we're in the area where I'm looking. I'm perfectly happy with the sells that I've taken on EU. And, you know, I'm going to wait and see. You know, the buy isn't going to be long term. The buy is just to get back up into an area where I want to sell from. And right now, from a structure point of view, right, we are maintaining lower time frame structure from right up here. Hold on. from right here is lower time frame structure, right? So this is our entire leg. This is the redistribution, continuation move, redistribution, continuation move. So I'll be looking to see if I can get some more sells, but right now, because where we're at, I'm going to be looking for the hedge buy only because we're in the sells. You know, and that's something I'll be kind of just going forward with. I'll talk about indices towards the end on primary side, right? So what I'm looking at primary side, and I'll just go down the list, right? I'm looking for, I know odd CAD last week, I talked about, I wanted to sell out of this area here. This stupid thing came right to my alert. Gave a distribution, but just not a distribution that I wanted to take an entry on. So it only gave a type 2, right? So we had a distribution that occurred, just didn't give me the entry that I wanted. So I kind of stayed out of it for the time being. Right now, like what I'm waiting on is you can just see the weakness coming into this thing. And at this point where we're at, I'm just going to wait for price to make this new low. Once we make that new low, then I'm going to work it back from my points of interest. Point and figure counting can help project to almost accurate targets. Yeah, but I really don't need help with the targets. I mean, I know where I want to take it. Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't use the point and figure charts at all. I mean, if it works for you, great. For me, for the targets though, I mean, I'm going into the price action that I know that price either needs to mitigate or respond from. Yeah, so odd CAD, I'm pretty happy with the movement that it's making. I'm pretty happy with the, you know, I wanted to see a distribution out of here. We got it. I'm just not part of it yet. So I'm still looking for shorts on odd CAD. And once we take this low, right, just keep in mind that this is structure right here. So I'll be looking for continuation moves to the downside out of potentially my slingshot or out of my extreme. So I'm going to be continuing to look for those shorts. And with odd CAD, you got to talk about NZD CAD. NZD CAD, same exact thing, right? We have this massive distribution in here. What I was waiting for is I was waiting for price to come up into this area here. We never got price to come up there, but we did distribute out of here, right? We did distribute out of here. So right now, that's my main focus. This is going to be my first point of interest. I'll play out of order flow out of this. And you could see the distribution, right? So we had, here is your trading range. You got your plenty of drives and ultimately have your UTAD right here. So what I'm going to be waiting for is for us to get into potentially like this area right here. That's what I want to get us into. So my alert is sitting right here. We get a distribution here and I'll send this sucker down. Yeah. So NZD CAD, ACAD, I'm looking for the shorts. Here's GU. Let's see what you got, bro. All right. So you're looking, you got to help me out here. Are you looking to set a limit now? Because technically you haven't even confirmed the distro, you haven't broken structure yet. So if this is your distro, right? That's what caused your UTAD. So you haven't broken structure yet. And then, so what is this? What's your position based off of? Like, what is that? Yeah, Mahi, I don't, I mean, we'll jump over to GEO. Hold on. Yeah. So for me here, while we're talking about it, for me on GU, yeah, I'm not looking to play anything out of this. I'm waiting up here, right here. This is where I'm playing this distro. I saw the break. You saw the break. Hold on. Let me look, bro. Yeah, no worries, man. Hold on. So you saw the break where the line is here. You saw this break. Is that what you're talking about? Right there. Yeah. I gotta figure out what the heck the GA alert was, but yeah. Yeah, so for me, because this high didn't trade above that high, it's not an important high, right? So like not every high and low. All right, hush. Not every high and low is important to me. Yeah, so like when I break down what's going on here, like let's just start from like a more reasonable time frame. So I mean we're bearish, right? I mean we're just making lower lows, right? If I like you could just see that distribution causes this break. We come up, we make a new leg, we come up, we make a new leg. So this distribution for me is what's controlling or maintaining structure at this point, right? This is our structure point. We're bearish from this distro. This is my slingshot that causes the new leg. So my very first area that I'm going to be paying attention to is going to be this right here. And when we look at what happened in there, I mean, you can just see the distribution. So we have our distribution, we have our UTAD, and we just never come back to mitigate it. So anything in this area here, right? Anything in this area right here is what I want to see price come back to mitigate so that I can send this lower. And if we don't, right? If we don't distribute, say like we come up and we do something like this, and then we just never come back and break. If there's no break of structure, then I'll be playing it out of structure up here, right? If this reaccumulates, no worries. You know, this is just my first point of interest. Yeah. So yeah, because you got to look at where you're at. You know, you're looking to sell, right? You're looking to sell from discounted pricing. You know, this is why, I'll be honest, this is why like I just haven't caught a GU sell, is because every time we come into the distribution, we don't come high enough. And every time we distribute, it just never gives me an entry, or I'm asleep when the entry comes in. So GU's kind of been one of those elusive pairs for me this year. You know, I haven't been able to really get it. You know, it's either moving when I'm asleep, or it's just not giving me proper entries, and I'm not going to force it. I mean, I'm happy with the fact that I've been looking to short this. I just haven't been able to get into a position. So I guess I can move this down to that now. There you go. Will I go through CADJ? I mean, if I have time. CADJ is on my secondary list. CADJ I think is like 600 pips from the area I want to buy from. So what's up, man? How's everything, dude? Let's see. But Mike's second POI is also holding extreme. Won't you place a small limit? Yeah, but the problem, Mahi, is that look, there's nowhere to me to put a limit on. So like when we get up into this, right? This is the only area right here that let's see, let's go into it. This is the only area that I would put a limit on out of this. And the problem is, where do I put the limit? Right? So we have, shoot, it won't let me go. Okay, hold on. Let's go back to it. Give me a second. If I'm going to put a limit, it's going to be out of that micro, right? So we have, and this is the problem I had when we first were looking at this for the cells, right? We never got a true UTAD, right? So you could see we have just high, 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 and then we break the low. So this for me was like the attempted mitigation. And the problem I have is, was this the mitigation of that? Because I mean, damn it, it looked like it was, you know, like when we measure just this move, right? Measure the move from Frankfurt open that came back to mitigate, and look what we tapped into. We tapped into 80%. So now the question is, okay, so if this is my, so if this mitigated that, and if this was the mitigation of this Frankfurt into London push, so then that would mean that we now need to mitigate this. And at that point, like there's too many what ifs. So there's not going to be a limit order. I'm just going to wait for us to come up into this area. You know, this area here, right, would be something I'd be looking at. 80% is probably going to line up right in here. And I guarantee you're going to find confluence between that redistribution in there and that 80%. So that's something that I'm looking at. Yeah, US 30, dude, US 30 was, I only threw $100 at it, but it gave a 1 to 50 in like, I don't know, 20 minutes. So I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, I took some good partials out of it. We'll go through it. We'll go through it. So anyway, that's why I'm not putting a limit on GU, just because looking at, can we come back up into this? I mean, we shouldn't, but we can. And then do I want to put a limit out of here? And if I do, where? Because I mean, if I do put a limit, I'm going to put a limit out of that drive right there. And that 50% is going to be a 42 pip stop loss. So, you know me, that just ain't going to fly. So I'm going to wait, I'm going to wait for a schematic. And even if we come into this area right here, right? Even if we come into this area here, that's a little more manageable, a little more refined, but I still need to wait for us to come up into that price action. And, the way GU is moving, it doesn't appear that we're going to get up there anytime soon. Okay. Yeah. Once it's mitigated, there's no reason to come back. And you can see like it's one thing if this stupid thing here, Mahi didn't, like if we didn't trade into 80%, right? If we didn't trade into that 80%, then I would have been like, all right, there's reason. But listen, I mean, that's smack dab right on 80%, so this was that mitigation. We did come in and mitigate into that. So now it's just a matter of this needs to be mitigated. And there's too many variables. There's not enough confluence for me to say X marks the spot. That's where I'm putting my limit order, so, that's why I'm going to wait on it. All right. Okay. So we talked about AuCAD, we talked about NCAD, Odd Chef, right? So AU, Australian US dollar, Australian Swiss franc, they pretty much move the same, right? And what I'm looking at, no worries, man. What I'm looking at is this. So higher time frame, right? We can see that price came into our area of demand, right? Came into ultimately what was maintaining this intraday leg. We came into it, we mitigated, we broke some order flow, we created some lower time frame structure, right? So at this point here, when we broke that, we essentially came here, we accumulated, we made a new high, right? So one of the things that I was really looking at on A-Chef was this, okay? Well, we broke down, I don't remember when we broke this down, but we broke down price action in here. And for me, when we came into here, we were looking at, all right, so what needs to be mitigated? What is still outstanding? And the one thing that I really wanted to play into was, okay, so we have New York price action, right? New York price action, they're very clean accumulation that occurs here. And then we have that Frankfurt sweep of all Asian lows to come back and mitigate. And I don't remember what candle I found, but if you just, you can look at it, like we come in here and you just measure that New York move right here, and we come into 80% of it. So this is where I want to be. This is ideally where I'm looking right here. And you could see what I've kind of like started to mark out is this is the 80% of the Frankfurt push, right? This is that manipulation. Frankfurt sweeps it, mitigates out of New York. And then what do we ultimately do? We make a new high, right? Why they've been treating you dirty? If you're saying Euro Swiss franc, I can relate, but everything else has been pretty clean on it. So anyway, this is the area that I want to see us come back into, right? Lo and behold, where do you think this stupid thing comes back into, right? We come right back into that area, right? This is that 80% that I wanted to see us, Yeah, I don't trade euro Swiss franc either. So this is the area that I want us to see us kind of come back into. Unfortunately, this was not a limit order, right? This didn't allow me to put a limit order in, so I didn't get into the trade. What we were identifying, and you can see it, very clean type 1 accumulation. When we broke this high, we had a limit order set off the 71 minute, and price just, price didn't come. I think it was like 10 pips. Price didn't give us to us. So I'm still, we definitely have some liquidity sitting here. We need to mitigate out of this spring candle. And for me, it's the 71 minute, right? For me, that 71 minute is where I want price to come back into this right here. So now that we have broken, right? Not only have we confirmed the accumulation schematic, right? But we've also broken order flow, right? Now that we've broken order flow, what I want to do is I've got half risk on this limit order here. And then the other half, I'm just going to go by way of a schematic, just in case I don't get triggered on this entry. This is about a 5 pip stop. If I don't get triggered on the entry, then, okay, I'll deal with it and I'll play out of a schematic. But I'm going to be waiting. I've got an alert here at 67,200. We're about 50 pips from it. So I want price to, and you can see just like from the trend line kind of look, I want price to just give me that drop. Give me that drop, mitigate out of this, and I'll take this sucker up. So that's ultimately what I'm going to be doing with HF. It looks pretty, to me, it's pretty super clean. The the buyers are still in control. Everything looks pretty clean on it. Like I said, I'm going to be, at this point, this is just going to be order flow. So I'm going to go through it's going to be my order flow risk that I'm throwing on. And then if for some reason we make a new high, let's just say we do that, right? Well, then I can put more risk on that limit order, because now this would be maintaining my lower time frame. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm doing with Odd Chef. And, if we're going to talk about Odd Chef, we got to talk about NZD Chef. Same thing, right? Same thing. I was looking for price to come back, give me some kind of mitigation out of this accumulation. We didn't get it. But now you can see that Odd Chef is definitely leading the way, where NZD Chef is the laggard. We haven't even broken order flow, right? So we could still very easily trade down into this area where I'd be looking for buys. All right. This is my lower time frame structure point. Just like Odd Chef, I'm bullish from the intraday, bullish from the lower time frame. So I'm going to continue to look for the buys, but it's just been a waiting game. I feel like, just Odd Chef, how long have we been waiting? We've been waiting, realistically, we've been waiting 26 days, about a month. We've been waiting for this pullback. And even this schematic, like I remember, looking at this schematic, this entire schematic took, just to confirm, right? Just to confirm, it took a day in 17 hours. So almost 2 full days is what it took for this schematic to build and give me a confirmed break of structure so that I can take an entry on. Yeah. So, no, I don't know where the dog went. Okay. So A Chef, NZD Chef, I'm looking for those buys. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for us to come back down into a more discounted area so that I can buy it from there. Let's see, CAD Chef. Yeah, we'll get to CAD Chef. AU is getting down to the area. I'm kind of still waiting. This is going to be my first point of interest right in here. My first point of interest that I want to look for a buy out of. This here did absolutely nothing. It's Asian lows. I'm pretty convinced we're just going to sweep that. I will be looking out of here, or I'd be looking out of the extreme. And that's pretty much it on AU. Like, I'm just going to be looking for those buys out of that. I have a limit order on NU. So, and you can see just from a comparable strength, NU's already broken that low, where AU hasn't. So NU is the leader right now. AU is the laggard. So I'm envisioning AU to break that low as well. On NU, my very first point of interest is going to be this reaccumulation. This is my slingshot. This move right here is where I'm looking. And I do have a limit order out of that low right here. When you say maintain lower time frame, that regarding 1 hour, 4 hour, and daily? No, it's just my lower time frame leg. Yeah, the number here doesn't mean anything. Yeah, because for me, it's just so like here, right? So this is, you can see our market cycle. So we had our distro, we had our accumulation here. The accumulation broke. This was the leg. So then we made a new leg. And then when we broke that leg, this is now what's maintaining my lower time frame. Okay. Yeah, so I have, and I talked about it already. I have a limit order. I will wait for a schematic in here, right? You know, just, I mean, you can see it. It's a pretty clean reaccumulation, really good market manipulation. This is what needs to get mitigated. And then you can see we have a type 2 schematic right in here. But if you come down lower time frame, you should be able, if you don't have, well, you can't get down to the 1 minute, but if you took screenshots like I told you to, you know, you've got plenty of reason to have a limit order on that low. And that's what I do, is I have a limit order out of, I have an order. There we go. Yeah, I have an order sitting out of this type 1 schematic right here, out of that 12, 11, and 8 minute candle, which is this candle right here. So it's a 1.9 and a 3.4 pip stop. So we'll see if it gets there. Therefore, NZD is weaker than Australian dollar. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So NU and AU, I'm looking for those buys. I'm just waiting. Potentially we'll see it tomorrow. You know, we'll see. I definitely like this point of interest. You know, we're relatively close to it. It ain't that far from the area. I mean, we're about 60 to 70 pips from the area that I really want to start diving into some buys on it. And then from there, you know, obviously I'm going to be targeting a new high, right? You can see this massive accumulation that we saw right here, right? Here's our spring, right? This was the test. We came into 80% perfectly, and then we made a new high. So we come into this area, I'm going to be looking to make a new high, and then I want to get through this distro up here. If we can clear out that distro, that'd be great. You know, knock out all supply and ultimately make a new high, right? And then upward and onwards, just keep going, taking this higher. So if a limit order doesn't get filled, do you buy into the same plan at a premium? Yeah, just adjust your stop loss. Yeah, adjust your stop loss, or, you know, in my case, like if I miss here, so, and I'll let you guys answer this if somebody knows. So let's say we come into a point of interest, right? Come into a point of interest, boom, here's your spring. You've got a limit order sitting right here, and price does this and then makes a new high. So what's your next play, right? Your next play is what? Your next play is now the reaccumulation, right? So you're going to be doing what? You're going to be looking for the buy out of here. So when price comes back in, I'll put the buy in, take it up. If I've missed this, all right, no worries, just stay with it. You know. Okay, cool. So that's AU and NU, CAD Chef, right? So CAD Chef, that reaccumulation on NU. What about it? This one here. Yeah, what about it? Why is my limit now lower? My limit? I don't have a limit. My limit's down here. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Yep. No, this is just the POI. This is, I want to see a schematic in here. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. There's always a reason your order doesn't get filled. It's not for some reason, but yeah, there's always a good reason, either spread or, you know, like you're trying to take a buy at changeover when spreads go from 1 pip to 17 pips. Yeah. All right. So CAD Chef. CAD Chef, man. Let me tell you about CAD Chef. How many charts do I monitor at once? What do you mean by monitor? Like, do I have on my watch list? Yeah, you're looking at it. This is my primary watch list. So this is everything I'm currently waiting on right now. And then everything on here minus ECAD, because I just do ECAD now to spite people. But everything on here is just stuff that's a long ways away, and I'm just waiting on, you know, like EN is 600 pips from my sell area, right? So until we come up here, I'm not concerned with EN. But yeah. Use your alerts. You know, I mean, you can see I've got plenty of alerts. Use the alerts to your advantage. All right, so CAD Chef, right? You know, CAD Chef is one of those that the distribution confirmed, right? I've been waiting on price, or I was waiting on price to come back and mitigate out of here. We've since left that area, and now this is the area. You can see it right here. This is the area that I want to see a distribution in. At this point, I do not want us to trade above this high, right? If we trade above that high, that's going to really give me a sense that buyers are going to be coming in, and we're going to end up turning this massive distribution into a reaccumulation. So I'm not concerned with this accumulation down here. I mean, for me, this was just the reason to get price to come up higher, because it hasn't done anything at this point yet. But this is the area right here that I want to sell out of. And if you go to replay mode, and you can kind of see this was that CAD news back at the end of October. And you'll see really clean attempted accumulation. This is the shakeout that comes into 80%, right? Comes into 80%. And this is what I want to sell out of. So for me, the most voluminous candle is that 27-minute. I'm not setting a limit order, because at this point, you know, it's not a structure point, but I'm going to wait for a schematic in there. And if we get a schematic in there, then that's where I'm going to play ball with it. Okay, cool. Bear with me. Hold on. My wife's texting me. Okay, cool. That stupid distribution for Friday taught me a big lesson on CAD Chef. Did it tell you that when Mike says he's done trading at 9:30 on a Friday morning, that it's for a reason? Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this, that distro, I would have taken that distro if it was earlier in the morning. You know, it's just one of those, but yeah, I don't get caught in those traps. So you can kind of see this is where I want to take it up to. Get into this area here, confirm a distro, and then I'll play with it. If we don't get the distro there, then, you know, this can just sit on the watch list. Yeah. Yep, exactly. So GA. Now GA is one of those that I guess, hold on, so I have a limit order down here. For me, this is the start of the leg, right? This accumulation here is the start of that, and that just ginormous leg. And what we did was we came into the reaccumulation that caused the break. So we came into it, we respected it, and we accumulated out of GA. So looking at what GA has done, right? We have an accumulation. that accumulation invalidates, well, I guess I should make this a redistro. That accumulation invalidates the redistribution. So effectively taking out supply, right? And then what do? Then we accumulate again. And out of that accumulation, we actually come to, hold on. We actually come to 50%. That's right. We come to 50% of our spring, right? Or I'm sorry, 50% of the test of the spring. So out of this accumulation, we do mitigate it. But there was just no way I was taking that trade, because that trade would have been one, it would have eaten up my margin. And this was something like an 18 pip stop. Yeah, 16.8. So even where we're currently sitting at, this was a 1 to 12. 218 pips, it would have been a 1 to 12. So it just wasn't worth it. It missed your limit by 6 pips. I gotcha. Well, you didn't want to take the 50%? Yeah. So, and then all I was waiting for was a new high. So now what I'm going to be doing is, just let history repeat itself. I've got, I don't know if you guys have looked down at this low. So here's what it looks like on the 1 minute right there. Yeah, this is what the 1 minute looks like, but you get down on the lower time frame and you got yourself a type 1 schematic. So I'm going to be playing out of this right here. That's what I'm going to be playing out of. So I got 50% of it is a 2 pip stop. I ain't greedy. 2 pips on GA is just more than manageable. This is what I want to see come back down and mitigate out of. So if price can come back into that area, I know it's order flow, so I'm going to have a limit order set on it. But it's going to be a reduced risk entry. Like, it's not going to be anything crazy. It's nowhere near my full risk, and it doesn't need to be, because I'll tell you right now, like, if you get, let me just, there we go. So if you get just up to this high, right, you don't have to risk much. I mean, that is what is that? That is a 1 to 127. Even like for those of you guys trading like a 100K account, right? On a 100K account, you risk, you risk $50, right? $50. Now, obviously, this is full volume. You're not going to be full volume all the way up here, but on a $50 risk, you're looking at 63, 67. You know what I mean? You don't have to risk a lot, like, especially on that kind of play. So in my case, like on a 200K account, this will probably be like $125 risk, and I mean, even on $125 risk, you're looking at 15,900, it's worth it. So I have that limit order set. I got time. This ain't coming down anytime in the next couple of hours. So I will have that limit order set. I'm just going to put a small risk on it. And then, obviously, as we come down into that area, I want to see these Asian lows swept, let them sweep it, come in here, even if I can get a schematic, I'll play the schematic. So, but yeah, GA to me, looking pretty clean. I like how we're moving, and go from there. The way that you can just see that buyers are coming into this, you had the accumulation, broke order flow, invalidated supply, came back in, accumulated more orders, made a new high, came back in, accumulated, made a new high, so I like GA. I'm going to be waiting on GA once we get back down into this area. If we don't get back down into that area, where, I'm kind of going to be looking is maybe in here, but it's going to be one of those that I'm going to be just very leery about getting in outside of a super clean, refrigerator worthy type 1 schematic. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Well, yeah. Listen, especially the last couple of trades we've taken with light risk, I mean, you can see just how much profit you're making with these really, really, easy entries that are giving you these really huge R2Rs. So, okay, so that's GA. Like I said, I'm continuing to look for some buys on this. I like where we're at. Keep in mind that way up here is our structure point. way the heck up here, right? Because this is what broke, and then we've just been having continuation plays. So, we are structure wise, we're definitely down at the bottom, the discount of the leg, which is where you want to buy it. But we have a long haul, and I'll tell you right now, if I do get into a buy here, my overall target is to make a new high. Right, my overall target is to make a new high, and if for some reason we come lower, I've talked about this. If for some reason we come lower, I do have a limit order out of this low right here, out of that 201 minute, and it's also the 15-minute open. It's also, I think, a 30-second schematic in there, but I'll be more than happy to take that limit order out of there. So that's GA. Continuing with the pound pairs, like GJ finally. So, I'm bullish on GJ, right? You could see that we've broken some massive structure. It did not come down to the area. I really wanted us to come into this area right here. Never gave us that low, but I've got to go with what price is telling me. So we've spent the better part of, what is it, like 2 weeks accumulating, right? We have a type 1 accumulation. This is our spring. And we have now confirmed the type 1. So structure is bullish on every time frame. And because of this, we've broken order flow. So if that's the case, I got to look for buys, right? The two areas, this is the number one area I'm looking for buys at right here. Sorry. Yeah, this is the number one area I'm looking for buys. And the reason I'm looking for buys out of that area, pretty simple, like just go and investigate what price action did in here, right? You come down to like a 5-minute, and yeah, you come down to the 5-minute and you can just work your way up. So we had a super clean type 1 accumulation in here, right? Price does come back to 50%. So you can see that, we engulf it. That wick trades above the previous wick, comes back to 50%. And then out of that 50%, this is the mitigation coming into 50% of our test, right? So you have your accumulation, you have your attempted distro into a reaccumulation, you have just price mitigating itself out. And as we continue up, right? As we continue up, what do we see? Well, we have price that ultimately, and don't, this is non-existent. So this is the changeover wick. But what we have here is this last push. If I just measure out that push, right, you can see that price comes into 50%, trading into ultimately the open of that last shakeout. So when price gives this shakeout here, engulfs it, mitigates it, this mitigates that, this to me mitigates that. So this is my primary focus. And ultimately what I'm looking at is from here, this is what we need to mitigate. So I'll be waiting for price in this box, for price to give me an accumulation. And, I'm not going to take a limit order out of it, one, because it's not structure. Structure is maintained from this low right here. Right. But more importantly, I mean, this range is huge. I mean, we're talking this is about a 22 pip range. I'm not going to take a limit order and waste my margin on a 22 pip, range. So this is the area I really want to see focused. And it makes sense. What happened in this area? Well, we had that distribution. We had Frankfurt sweep. London came in, mitigated out of what happened to the left, and then New York came and blasted off. So we need to come back and mitigate that London price action. All right. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. I like GJ. Again, structure, we're bullish on every time frame. So I can play the order flow because that's we're at this point, I'm not going to wait for price to now make new structure. We're going to be waiting a long time. So I've got my limit order. I'm sorry, I've got my alert right around like the 153 area. When we trade back into this area, that's where I'm going to be looking. I'm really not interested in this out of Asian price action. I'm pretty convinced that we're going to sweep that. But once we get below that Asian price action, then it's game on, and I'll be looking for that evidence of price to give me some bullish intent. You said that the UT in a distro has to trade above the buying climax and secondary test, but in your accumulation, the secondary test in B didn't trade below the SC and the ST. Yeah, it's simple. What do you call? So if this is my climax to my AR, to my ST, to my MSAL, and this is my UTAD, this is not an upthrust, right? What is it? It's just another secondary test. The difference between a secondary test and an upthrust is the upthrust is a temporary exit of the trading range to test seller's intent above your climax and secondary test. Is it a requirement? Not for me. All I need is 3 drives. 1, 2, 3, and then give me the UTAD. So same thing like on an accumulation. Do I need my STB to trade below this? I don't. I'd be perfectly content with that right there, right? I just need 3 drives. Because all the difference between an ST and an STB is the STB is in phase B. That's it, right? You have a secondary test. This is phase A. And then you don't know you're in phase, you don't know that you've completed phase B until you get to phase C, right? You always got to work backwards. What helps you identify your trading range? Understand what your change of character is. And once you understand what the change of character is, remember the change of character is going to define your trading range. So I'll tell you right now, and I would think that a lot of you guys would probably agree with me that once you understood exactly what the change of character was, it became very easy to identify the trading range. So how do you know when smart money successfully fills their orders? Because you'll see stuff like this. There's no hesitation. You'll see the volume come in and price just take off. Look at any clean accumulation or distribution, right? And there's no lingering, right? Once they fill their order, they come back, they mitigate, they close out of the sell to buy and they take off, or they close out of the buy to sell and they take off. So yeah. Okay. Look at EU from 2 weeks ago. Yeah. 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 That was a very nice trade, that buy. Okay. So GJ, that's what I'm waiting on, right? Just waiting on that. We talked about GU already. We talked about NCAD, NCHEF, and UCAD. So UCAD, again, what we're seeing is this, from a, let's just jump up here on the 4-hour, right? So we broke intraday structure. This accumulation caused that. We have a massive distribution here, right? But all that massive distribution did was break lower time frame structure, get us into demand area, right? And from there, what have we done? We've accumulated. Now, I really wanted us to come into this or into this, but the market had a different opinion, right? They didn't want to listen to me. So what do we have to play with now? Well, I really wanted to get a buy. This was the buy I wanted to get. We came very, very short of it. And then from there, we've just been reaccumulating. So this is our last reaccumulation. If price trades above here, then this is done for me. But if we do not, like if we come back up and mitigate out of the distribution, right, and then make another low, I want to buy out of here, right? That's where I want to buy out of. Can you show how you look at supply and demand? Find your schematic. If the schematic did something, if it made a new high or new low, then that schematic is what is controlling either supply or demand in that current price action, if that makes sense. Yeah, so this is ultimately what I'm waiting on UCAD. If we make the high, right? If we take this high out, then I'm done looking out of that reaccumulation, right? And I will just kind of sit back and figure out what the heck UCAD's going to do, right? If we take that high. If we don't take that high, then game on. I'll let this sucker, I'll let the distribution play itself out, right? Because we do have a type 1 distro, right? Here's your UTAD. If price does come into this area and then give me that sell off down into this, that's what I'll look at. Okay. This is UCAD's one of those, it's a very, it's in one of those positions where I really don't want to fight UCAD. One, because Canadian dollar strength because of oil prices, but also US dollar strength. So, you know, this is one of those that you just really got to follow the charts. Wouldn't taking the high be a break of structure that validates your POI? What, on UCAD? Yeah. So if we take that high, this is now what's maintaining order flow, right? I don't need to validate the POI. The POI's already been validated, right? Now, from this view, right? Like if we're looking at it, hold on. So if we're looking at it like this, right? So what has price done? You know, we came in, we accumulated, right? We broke the high, we made a new high. We distributed, came in, mitigated, made a new high, right? So now if we do this, I don't want us to break this, right? I don't want that to happen. So now this may be something that I'll look at in the future if we, so now if we do something like this, right? Now this is what's maintaining structure, right? This would be maintaining structure. And depending on how, what happens all in here, I'll have to figure out where my SC is, you know. But for the meantime, like right now, what I'm going to be focused on is if that high gets taken, then I'm just going to sit back on UCAD. If the high doesn't get taken, right? And let's just say that let's just say that we play into this. Yeah. So, I mean, here's your distro, right? You've got your distro. So that was your BOS. Yeah, so you've got so you got your climax to your rally, to your test, to your up thrust, to your UTAD. So now, you know, this needs to be mitigated. So what is this? This is like 5, 10, 15, 20. Let's go 60-minute candle. Let's see. Oh, look, trading views lagging. Is your schematic, your structure, and everything else like a reaccumulation, redistribute your order flow? So redistros and reaccumulations cannot maintain structure, their continuation plays. So if that makes sense. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah, it has been, man. It has been. And you know when this does it the most is right when I'm trying to like trade like US 30 at 10 o'clock in the morning. All right, so what are we at? Let's go 120. 121, 122. Nope, we're going down. All right, so 97. All right. Did you already go through all these? Let's go 97. Oh, yeah. 97 she is, man. Good job, good job. All day long. Yeah. All right, so now question is, where do we have confluence? I'm guessing that 80% is going to have the confluence. So this is what I've been doing. When I save my chart, right? I open it in a new tab, and then once it does this, I just right click and save that image as. That's what I've been doing. Because the other way, like if you, copy link, or if you try to, it's been a pain. It truly has been a pain. Does price come back into that area? It does not. All right, cool. Yeah. So, I mean, you have confluence in both areas, because you've got, this is the last unmitigated area right here. We don't come back into, when was this? Was this? Oh yeah, we still got the data. So here's your redistribution is out of here, and you can see the distribution that happens. This is your UTAD. So even coming out of that, you don't even have 50%. Like if I just measure that to here, you come short of 50%. So price can potentially, I don't know if I'd be playing that 80%. Well, I'm not playing the sell anyway, but I don't know if this was a sell that I would take. I don't know if I necessarily play out of that. What would this drive be? This would be, yeah, I mean, definitely I could see price coming into this, and I can also see it coming into that right here. So those would be the 2 points that I'd be looking at, and then if you're just going to split your risk. But what I'm saying, the whole reason I did this was because we have reason, right? There is reason for price to come back into this area, right? Distribute to come down into my buy area. So yeah. I'm not, I'll tell you right now, I'm personally not interested one bit in trying to sell this. I'm going to wait for the buys. Everything's kind of giving me the, I'm not going to counter trend it. So this is where I want to see us come into, and I'll just wait. But that's what I'm waiting on UCAD. UCHEF, I'll be honest, like UCHEF, there's just nothing for me to play. I've been waiting for UCHEF, was on my primary list because we were pretty close to my buy area down here, and we just never came to it. And you can see what we've done since. So UCHEF is about ready to get into my secondary list, because when we take this high, which I'm pretty sure we're going to do relatively quickly, when we take this high, now I've got to wait for price to come all the way back down into here for me to look for the buy. And on UCHEF, I mean, that could take flip until Christmas, so UCHEF is just one of those, like, I'm still looking for buys on it. I've been looking for buys for a while. Yeah. It's one of those love-hate relationships. And then UJ confirmed, right? I talked about this. I was talking with everybody this morning about it. UJ confirmed the reaccumulation, which I suspected, right? I was waiting on this. We got it now. Obviously my 2 points of interest, this accumulation down here or the reaccumulation here, this is where I'm going to be looking. So if we can get some decent price action out of that, that's what I want to play out of to send this sucker higher. Yeah, good. Yeah, I mean, this is just order flow, and when you look at it, UJ has been respecting order flow since the beginning of the year. right? I mean, just go to the 4-hour and look at this. I mean, and UJ is going to go down as 2021's most elusive pair for me, because I mean, most of you guys that trade with me, you guys know that coming all the way back down. Let me go 15-minute. Look at all these damn markups, man, of me just waiting, waiting for price to come back. Nope, we didn't get it. Waiting for, what was the one, the really, dude, the one that broke my heart, man. There was one that, hold on. There was one in here. I think it was around March or April. Was it in here? I think it was here. Oh, it was. It was. Yep, it was. This is it right here. So I don't even know if I can go lower time frame. I've got the screenshots, but anyway, I wanted to play out of 50% of this reaccumulation. It missed me by 2.9 pips. 2.9 pips, and this thing rallied from 107,690. So 700 pips from here is where it rallied. This is the one, and then the other one was, I think, this one right here. Pretty sure it was this one right here. Oh yeah, it was. It was. This was it right here. Yeah, this was it right here. We missed. I wanted this right here. And you could see I had the 50% marked out, and this was, what do we miss it by? We missed it by 5 pips. So it's just one of those that got away. She got away. Yeah, it is what it is. And we just never came back. This thing just skyrocketed and never came back. So yeah, UJ's going to go down as my 2021 most elusive. I think I've only taken like 2 total trades on UJ this whole year. Yeah, man. Yeah, I've made a couple of dollars more trading than I did as a cop. Yeah. I think yeah. I may have made more in 1 week than I did an entire year being a cop. So yeah. Let's see. If the UT didn't happen in Asia, would you have taken a sell from it on what pair? On EG? Or, yeah, my bad. I'll tell you this. Yeah, if the UTAD happened outside of Asia price action, I would have taken a distribution. No, a boof and a break of structure are not the same. Boof is just a break of order flow, and a break of BOS is a break of structure. So totally different. Yep. Yeah. 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 So, but that's what I'm waiting on UJ, and I'll still, I'm still waiting for us to potentially come down to this, but we're just not getting it. Price is just reaccumulating. So you gotta go with the reaccumulation. So I like UJ for the buy still. I'm going to continue to play on UJ. I'm going to continue to play order flow until the damn thing breaks order flow, right? And if you look at it from just like an intraday order flow perspective, that hasn't happened the entire year. Like, ever since this accumulation down here back in January, the first week of January, we have yet to break order flow, right? All we've done is accumulate. We've given that move. This wasn't a break of order flow, right? Then what do? We just continue to make these higher highs. So yeah, that's ultimately that, that play there. And then, so indices, I will talk about indices. So we had a really good we had a really good sell on SPX. I'll kind of walk everybody through it, right? So and just to save time, I'm not going to like try to dig through my journal for the screenshots. I'll kind of just walk you through it. All right. So when price was here, we'll just go to like that, right? So when price was here, this was last week, Thursday. When price was here, one of the things that we identified was this, right? So you come over to US 30 and you'll notice that there we go. So you'll notice that US 30 made a higher high, right? But SPX did not, right? So immediately my attention was on SPX because SPX is the leader showing weakness, right? Mike, if majority of people want, we could still go over structure and order flow once more. All right, Mahi, I'll let you lead it, bro. I'll let you lead it. Tips on UCAD. No, yeah. So I wouldn't be taking the sell on UCAD because we're bullish, right? I'm not going to counter trend trade unless I'm in a buy. So if I was in the buy, great. Then I would hedge into a sell, but being not in a sell, you know, what's telling me to what weakness do I see? Just because I see a distribution doesn't mean that I'm going to take a sell on it. All right. Tips for getting funded. I would tell you that probably the biggest tip that I can give you is think of being funded as this, right? And I think a lot of people undercut the importance of being funded by a prop firm. You essentially are trading somebody else's money, right? So if you cannot, and I'll tell you this, there's a couple of schools of thoughts of this, right? So, and I'll say the two, I'll kind of go back and I'll explain the two for you. But in my opinion, right, if you can't manage your own account, you have no business working for another entity, right? For trading another entity's account. So what I mean by that is if you're having problems with risk management, right? If you're having issues, I'll give me a sec because these stupid dogs are, hold on. Bear with me. One of my daughter's dogs are. All right, there we go. Sounds good. Anyway, so if you're having trouble managing your own account, you're not going to do well jumping in and managing another party's money. Just from a psychological mindset perspective, that's not going to happen, right? You're setting yourself up for failure. That being said, I would say that a lot of people starting out don't necessarily have the capital to even trade their own account, right? You know, when I first got into trading, everyone's like, oh yeah, you can fund your account with $200. I'll tell you right now, you know, for those that don't know this, and I'm sure it's everybody understands that they know this, a $200 account isn't going to get you to quit your job and be a full-time trader, right? I mean, $200, even if you get 100% every day, that's still not enough to retire and do your own trading from home or from wherever you want to trade from. So in my opinion, like if I could do everything all over again and I had the right mentors in place to put me there, the first thing I would do is I would get consistent on a demo account. You know, yes, you're not going to get the mindset and psychology portions of trading at 100% value in a demo account, but at least you're going to get your technical analysis. And I've always said it that before you could be a good trader, you have to be a good market analyst. And how do you become a good market analyst? On your demo account, right? How do you know when to buy and sell? How do you know when to manage your trade? You know, anybody, I'll tell you right now, you know, you can watch enough content on YouTube that you can find entries in trades. The hardest part is how do you manage them, right? The trade management, the hedging, the where do I take partials? How much partials do I take? All of those things are things that you need to come up with and devise into your trading plan well before you're sitting in that trade. Because when you're sitting in that trade, you know, at that point is the wrong time to make a decision on how much partials I'm taking or where I'm going to take partials from. Because if it's not on paper, if it's not set in stone, if it's not something that you can consistently abide by, then you're going to inflict an emotional answer on, and that's not something you want to do. The second part of that is, once you get through the being consistent on a demo and being consistent with finding entries, managing the losses, right? At that point, and this is something I tell a lot of people, you know, this is the best opportunity now to start looking at what kind of prop firm you want to trade for. You know, every prop firm I know offers a free trial. You know, like FTMO does it for 2 weeks. Doesn't mean that they close the account after 2 weeks. Just means they stop tracking it at 2 weeks. You know, get used to the spreads, get used to how their liquidity provider operates, and pass a couple of trials. I'll tell you right now, if you can't pass a trial, you have no business. I mean, if you want to, go ahead and do it, but you shouldn't be throwing any money at a challenge unless you've passed a couple trials. You know, don't be in a rush, right? Don't be in a rush to lose money. Don't be in a rush to lose. And this is just, everybody knows I'm a numbers guy, right? So let's just do it like this. You have a $200 account, right? You personally have a $200 account that you make, let's just say, and I'm not going to do a compounding or anything like that, but let's just say that you make 20%, right? You make 20% every week on that account, right? So let's just say that you've made, 20% is going to be $40, right? So you've made $40, and let's just say over the course of, let's just do the course of 52 weeks, right? That $40, okay, is roughly $2,080, right? $2,080. That's it, right? And even if you want to times that by 10, okay, great. You know what I mean? Let's times it by 10. So that's 20K, right? With an aggressive compounding that you're doing on your account. But now let's just say that you take 11 months, right? You take 11 months out of the year, or even say 10, right? Let's backtrack that. Say you take 10 months to demo trade, to get everything in order, and you open up a 200K account that you pass your challenge, and you make 10%, right? You make 10%. Well, that's your 20K in 1 month, right? How many losses? What's the consistency rate of trying to do this every week? Yeah, it's not good. You know, along the way, I guarantee you probably blow your account once or twice. But if you just have that low mark like me, I'll tell you right now, I only shoot for 10% a month. That's it. I've only not made 10% once. It was February. That was the only month. And I made 7% and I had a 36% winning percentage. That was it. February was my worst month. So, but I that 7% was still a substantial amount of money that I can live off of. Okay. So, getting funded, don't rush it, demo, you want to be able to pass trials in your sleep. There's definitely ways. I know Sam did a video on how to pass, where you kind of build your buffer. I've talked about, building your buffer that way you have that, you have a little more equity that you can trade with. I know a lot of guys recently have been passing challenges good. I mean, it's not difficult, but you just have to have the plan, right? You have to have the plan, and, don't, just for me, I think like a lot, I said in the beginning, a lot of people undercut the importance of what you're actually doing, and you're trading someone else's money. In the United States, you actually have to be certified and licensed to do that, and there's a lot of, granted, there's not a lot of risk involved when you're doing it with these prop firms, which is why I like to trade for prop firms, because there's no risk on my part. But that's just, keep that in mind. All right. Keep that, that's something that's kind of like my little tangent on prop firms. All right. No, not necessarily, man. If you get 100 entries in your journal, no, just keep going with it. Keep going with it until you feel like, you know what, you've ironed out the bulk of your mistakes and errors, and then start over. Yeah. Yeah. What's the difference between a retracement and a counter trend? What's the difference between, I mean, they're two different words. A retracement is just the pullback within structure, and counter trend trading is going against the trend. So like if you go back, if we go back to, so this is the pullback. This is the pullback. This is the pullback. This is also the counter trend. Why do I want to sell this when I can buy that? And then buy that. And then buy that. And buy that. For me, these don't do it. You know, like these, I don't counter trend. I just wait for the buys. You know. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, and just keep in mind, yeah, exactly. You know, just like you said, man, everybody's different. Don't judge yourself against one other person, you know, because, you know, where it might have only taken me 3 months to get, you know, a really good handle on this, might take somebody 3 years, you know, but once they get it, you know, their success isn't measured against mine. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, all right, going back, because otherwise I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna run out of time here. My headache's killing me. All right, so real quick, SPX, we were actually looking at this sell, right? And the reason we were looking at this sell, again, we had that divergence, right? We had SPX showing us that the weakness was coming into the SPX market. So out of the benchmarks, you know, this was the leader. And we had a distribution, we had another distro, we had another distro, and finally, it wasn't until we broke demand, right? This was our demand point. This was that leg. When we finally got that break of order flow, that's where it really became evident that I wanted to look for sells. And it was just going to be short-term sells, right? So we come down and we can see what happened, right? So price here gives a attempt at an accumulation, right? But what do we never do? We never show strength. We never break that high. Instead, we have a distribution that makes a new low. Okay. So out of that distribution, price comes up during Frankfurt session and creates a distribution maintaining this order flow high. We never trade above it. So out of that order flow high, you can see we have a really clean type 1 schematic, happens right during Frankfurt. And the key for me, obviously I was asleep during this, so I didn't actually play this, but for me, the importance was that price ends up making this low, right? Let's get up here, hold on. All right, so at that point we make the low, right? We make the low, and now my main objective was to get up into this area here. So as price gets into that area, we actually, let's go down here. Perfect. So as price gets into that area, what do we get, right? Here's the distribution, right? Here's the distribution, and we distribute in prior area of supply. So for me, taking an entry out of this was the key. And here's an example of, you know, did I need the up thrust here? No, because I had enough drives. I had 3 drives here, but we get the up thrust, comes back into 50%, and then we get our UTAD. Okay. So out of that UTAD, it was the 1 minute candle all day long, right? That was the 1 minute candle that I know a bunch of the guys took an entry out of. So that was the right here, 50%. And yeah, so you could see this is your UTAD. Now, once price broke structure, right? So for me, this was the BOS that I needed. We never got price to come back up, but more importantly, once we took this low, right? This is now our leg, right here to right here. So unless we make a new low, I'm still going to be looking for an entry out of this. Okay. And you'll see that price ends up showing signs of an accumulation, which we're immediately speculating is going to be a redistribution, and price taps into that 50%, right? Taps into 50%. At this point, I reduce my risk once we saw that reaction. And as soon as we break the low, you know, I'll break it off at even and I'll let it ride out. So at this point, right, come on. At that point right there, it was at break even. And then from there, we just collapsed, right? So you could see this was the entry as a 1-point stop on SPX. I ended up taking volume off when we broke this low. And then, you know, we're bullish, right? This was just a short-term sell, okay? And what I was playing into was this reaccumulation over here, right? This is the reaccumulation I was playing into. So I actually took my profits at 46.40, and you'll see that, yeah, I mean, price goes a little lower, ended up being a 1 to 44, and then we set up for the buy. Wait, you waited for the mitigation before going to break even, right? I waited for the mitigation. Yeah. I just reduced risk. That's all it was, reduce risk. So yeah, and then going into it, right? Going into it, we were looking for buys. So now fast forward to the buys that we were looking at, and you don't even need the seconds time frame for this. You could have just played this out here. We were, again, we're bullish structure, right? So once price started to show accumulation, right? Here's your spring. We come into 80% of the spring during London session, and then we make that high. So for me, I ended up playing 80% of the 30-minute candle, which actually triggered me right here. Took that buy. I'm still actually holding partials on that buy. You know, took my first, took partials when we got up here out of this, and took my second partials actually when we came up into this area up here. 4,700 is where I partial. No, actually, no, I take it back. When we broke that high, yeah. When we broke that high, I took partials. So it's currently, well, it was at a 1 to 28, just sitting here, you know, again, like what is my anticipation on SPX? Well, I mean, we're bullish, right? We've invalidated supply. So now my next area that I'm going to be looking at is I want to see when we come into equities open this morning, when we come into this price action, I want to see what we do, right? This is the area that I'm looking at right in here for buys to continue this higher. And then US 30 this morning, yeah, US 30 this morning, I I will say that was a pretty clean. So I was looking at this, right? Like this morning pre-market, we were here. So what I wanted to see was this. I just wanted to see us break this high and point of interest number 1, point of interest number 2, right? That's what I wanted to play into. And it ended up coming back to break even, but I took some massive profits out of it. So I took, so we just go down to the 1 minute. And here's New York open price action right in here. And if you go down into the seconds time frame, you'll kind of see what's going on. So this is equities open. Oh, hold on. Wheel got away from me. All right. So this is equities open, and you can see just clean manipulation, right? You could see us right at 9:30 drop down. We end up confirming the reaccumulation. All of this was just mitigation. And when we came into that area, this was really quick. It was actually, so you go down to the 5-second and you'll see it here. Yeah, I know. I tried. Listen, I tried. I was out and I just happened to see this on my phone, and I had to come home real quick. But yeah, so for me, this was, you know, there was a couple of things. Now, yes, my secondary test did not trade to 50%, right? 50%, where 50% is sitting right here. So you could see that my ST is the only one. My STB did go to 50%, right? But my ST did not, and it didn't do it by 2 points, right? 181 and 183. So I missed it by 2 points. Because of that, I just reduced the risk. You know, I only threw $100 at this trade, but you can see that we have relative strength divergence, right? We're making lower lows on the candles. We're making higher highs on the oscillator, right? So we have relative strength divergence, which for me is just another checkbox, right? But it gave me, we're in the right point of interest, and, you can see this is our spring, right? We break this high right here, and I just measured this entire push. This is 80%, took my entry right here. It was I don't even know what it was. It was a 2.5 point stop loss on US 30 and partialed out. I think I told everybody I was partialing out. Once we took this high right here, I took my first partials. And then when we took this high right here, I took my next partials. So this was a 1 to 52. At this point, I had 75% volume off. And like I said, I mean, on a $100 risk, you're up, what is it? You're up at full volume here. You're up $5,200, $5,280 is what you're up on a $100 risk. So you don't need to risk a lot when you're dealing with some of these tight entries. And then of course, we came up, we danced around in here, we distributed, and then we came back down, which is what I was expecting. That's why I took a lot of volume off, because SPX and NASDAQ still needed to come down and mitigate. So for me, what do we have, right? We have this high in here. This was my first point of interest. I'm still looking for us to come and mitigate that, right? That's what I'm looking for. And if you look on like the US 30 chart here, yeah. So this is what I want to mitigate, this London push right in here, which follows suit, right? Because we need SPX to come down and mitigate that low as well. And we need NASDAQ to come down and mitigate that low as well. So I'm expecting those lows to come down. Let's see. Yeah, same on NAS. Yeah. Yep, I'm looking for them, and I think we'll get it tomorrow. That's something, tomorrow morning, coming into equities open. Ideally what I'd love to see is, coming into equities open, we're trading down in here and just catch that nice accumulation to take this higher. You don't, one thing I like about indices is you don't need to, really, you don't need to risk a lot on them because they move with really good ferocity. And I mean, we're in a bullish market. So if you're looking at buys on indices, you're already ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So on NASDAQ, on all of these, I'm looking for buys, same area. I want this last manipulation to be mitigated, and SPX as well. I want to see us come down into, ideally, if we came into this area here, I would play it if we had an accumulation, or in this area here. But I'm looking for continuation moves on indices. Nothing about the charts is showing me any kind of weakness. The fact that we couldn't break through this, all we've done is now just accumulate. Same thing, US 30. US 30, I'm anticipating, all we did was just come back into prior area of demand, and we've just been ranging higher and higher and higher. So, I am going to be looking for that. What about the low on the 12th on US 30? The low on the 12th. What about the low on the 12th? This one down here. If we come down there, but honestly, I don't want to break order flow, so when we look at what happened, right, this is what's maintaining our order flow leg, right? Now, could we come back into this when it becomes structure? Absolutely, right? So like if we did this, let's just say that we did this, broke this high. Well, now this is structure. And we know that this mitigated, so that leaves this area here. I'd be looking, this would be a potential area that I want to see price now come and make a new high. So yeah, but I don't want to break order flow. Like I don't want price to break this low to come here to then have to try to break again. If you look, when we're doing stuff like that, I mean, just look over here, right? How many times do you see price break order flow, right? How many times do you see that happen? Not very often, so this to me isn't a consideration. It's not something I'm going to be looking at. For me, it's this right here. That right there is the key. So is US 30 now the leader? It's the leader because we made this high right here. Is that what you're asking? Or overall, it depends on what time frame you're looking at, right? So I would say So we've made that high there. We made that high. And what's NASDAQ done? Now, I mean, let me see, where are we at? We haven't invalidated. We have, I think SPX is actually the leader right now. SPX is. I think US 30 and NASDAQ are the laggards. Yeah. Yep. Awesome, man. Have a good one. Yeah. So that's pretty much everything I'm looking at. You know, like I said, the last week, you know, just give you guys a perspective on like number of trades and stuff. Last week I took 3 trades. You know, I took the SPX sell, I took an SPX buy, and then I took the EG sell. You know, last week, yeah. And then this week I've taken 2 trades. I took an EU buy that I took a loss on. It was just a hedge, so I really didn't care. It was out of here. I attempted to buy out of here, and you know, I didn't mind it because I was, yeah, you could see it right here. So I took it out of this. We were in the spring. We ended up breaking. It was a quick trade. I was out of it in like 5 seconds. But I didn't mind because the money I lost on this, I quickly made up for it out of the sell that I'm holding out of here. You know, so when you're in a hedge, it's so much easier to take, you know, positions, because if you lose the trade, you really don't lose the trade. You're still making money on it. You know, gold, good luck with gold. If anyone can tell me what gold's direction is, I would gladly give you an opinion, but I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Gold has been in a range for, what are we talking here? 152 days. 152 days. So yeah, like I don't know. Not all of this is order flow for me. All of this is order flow. This is the leg right here. That's our leg. So yeah, I honestly have nothing with gold. Yeah, there isn't much. It's on my secondary list. You know, I was looking for a potential distribution out of this because of order flow. And then we took it out. So now, you know, I mean, if I were going to look for buys, I'd be looking for buys out of that reaccumulation. But I really don't want to look for buys. So I'm just going to kind of let gold do its thing. Cryptos, nothing's changed on the crypto side. You know, I mean, I'm still bullish on them, but you know, the big two, you know, I'm fully expecting to see sometime in the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm fully expecting to see a $42,000, $44,000 BTC, or a 30,000 to 32,000. You know, I'm fully expecting to see that. I mean, just look at your market cycle: accumulation, reaccumulation. You got your distro. Let this puppy come down. You know, does this become the redistro that then comes into the accumulation here before the next, you know, the next move? Potentially, you know. So yeah, I mean, I'm fully prepared. I'm waiting for it. I've got money on the sideline that I'm going to be investing in some of the crypto projects that I'm looking at. So, you know, we get that push, great. And same thing with Ethereum. You know, we've made an all-time high, you know. So, you know, I'm fully expecting us to come back into like this area here. I want to see a $3,000 ETH. And if that happens, you know, maybe that's the next area that we go higher. But, you know, I don't put a lot of emphasis into seasonality, but I do look into, you know, especially with tax seasons and capital gains and stuff like that, a lot of people sell assets at the end of the year to pay for, you know, to pay taxes, to pay so that they have a leg up on some dividends and stuff like that. So I potentially, the last 5-6 years, just look at December's price action, and cryptos typically fall off at the end of the year, only to then make the bull run in January, you know? So that's what I'm expecting. Can you explain XRP? What do you mean explain it? Like the chart? Man, I honestly haven't looked at XRP in a minute. Yeah, I mean, I'm still waiting for this high. I want the reaccumulation to be confirmed, you know, so Still waiting for that. If we can get this break here, then, we can see that we've had the big accumulation here. We've had a reaccumulation, and, eventually when the SEC decides they're going to drop this stupid frivolous lawsuit, you'll see that push up. Yeah, I mean, I personally am not investing anymore into XRP. I got in during this massive accumulation in here. So I got in at 13 cents. I got in at 26 cents. And then I got again in when we got this drop down here. I won't put anything more into XRP until we make a new all-time high, and then we get our pullback. So, like I've been in XRP for a long time. And it's just, yeah, for me, like I personally wouldn't look to get into anything until we at least confirm this reaccumulation. And then out of that, I'd be potentially, if this is the slingshot that causes that, great. Price should maintain itself from here. Oh, all right, man. Have a good one. Oh, 8-month-old man. Geez. Good luck with that, bro. Good luck. Yeah. So that's, I mean, just cryptos. I mean, expect a pullback. I'm expecting it. You just think about what people are going to be doing when they see a $42,000 BTC, man. They're going to be flipping out. So I'm happy with it. Let it come down. Let it come down so that, everything else can kind of, and just remember, like the main caps lead the way, and then the altcoins kind of follow suit. So we haven't had all-time highs on a lot of these altcoins. I mean, some of these we have, let's go to like the big one, like, go to like Polkadot, right? So Polkadot has, right? We've made all-time highs, so, we're expecting a pullback. Solana has made all-time highs, Matic, right? Matic, one of those we haven't seen yet. Filecoin, one of those we haven't seen all-time highs yet. So a lot of these altcoins, Engine needs to break this high. A lot of these altcoins, these DeFi coins and stuff like that, they still got some room to go on the upside. What do you look at to decide whether or not you want to invest in a project? Yeah, I mean, utility's big. Get into the white paper, read the white paper. Use, what the project kind of entails. I'll tell you the other thing too is the creators of it. Like one of the big things here, this is something I talked about. I don't even know when I did this video, but it was in the summertime, like Lusco Coin, right? Lusco Coin, when Lusco Coin came back into this area here, I had thrown this out there that I was going to be buying Lusco Coin when we came back into this area at $5. And the main reason I was looking at that is the creator of Lusco Coin was the co-creator of Ethereum. And after reading the white paper and then seeing the support staff that he had brought on, it just made sense that this was going to be a very important coin that I wanted to get into. So, and then you could see what happened right after that. Price goes up 730% in the course of 3-4 months. So reading a mix of the white paper, understanding the ecosystem that it's on or the blockchain, those are all key elements. And then once I understand, okay, this is a coin or a project that I want to invest in, now let's get on the chart and where do I want to invest from? So like Solana, right? Solana, when we saw that big drop, when we saw this massive drop, obviously I wanted to buy out of here. We didn't get it instead. So we started cost dollar averaging out of this area of demand, right? This reaccumulation. So we got in here and you could see, so I bought in one of my buys was June 21st at $28.68. And then we ended up getting, I think somewhere in here, after this push, somewhere in here is where I threw just a couple more $100 in, and, the technicals spoke for themselves. And then what happened, we got, shoot, I don't even know what this was. This was, yeah, over 1,000% later, that's where we're at, so the one thing I'll tell you is diversify. Don't say, I'm going to have X amount of dollars, I'm going to put it all in one project. Diversify. I mean, every one of these on here is what I own. I'm invested in every one of these here, because if one of them takes a dive, great. I still got, 40 other ones that are still going to give me, the opportunity. Where do you look to find new projects? You just got to, follow a bunch of YouTube people, Twitter, I can tell you, I don't have just like one avenue. I kind of have a mix of everything. I've got just different people that I followed on YouTube, and I obviously, like, you have to take what they say with a grain of salt. Don't, just because somebody's saying this is the greatest thing and this project's going to be world renowned and it's going to be a $5 billion market cap, do your due diligence, read up on the project and start looking at, projects similar to them. Because that's the other thing. Look at a project that is similar to it and see what kind of market cap, what kind of price action, what kind of investment opportunities, and not only that, but backing. What kind of backing is there? Those are all key things. Logan Paul, you mean like with Superbid? Yeah, I mean, if he says a project, would you go all in? No, I mean, I'm not going to go all in, man. No, I mean, I'm invested in Superbid, and I'll tell you right now, if you Superbid just came out, Superbid is paying out 100% APY for just a regular stake on Superbid. And if you do it on Uniswap, where you're providing liquidity, they're paying 250%. So, I think Superbid's trading right now at $3. So it was at 10 over the summer. But, I'll tell you right now, Superbid's going to probably be like a $15, $20 coin very soon. So yeah. Olympus Day. Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, you've missed the boat on it. Yeah. I run a node. I have a node on it. So you can go over to, let me see, do I have it? Hold on. Yeah, it's not worth the investment anymore. Hold on. Where's my node? I don't have my glasses on. Hold on. I got to come up to the screen, even though this is like a 46-inch screen. I know it's in here somewhere. Anyway, yeah, you can just go to their website. Go to their website. Yeah, so you have to invest, right? You have to stake. Just go to here. I'll kind of give you a quick little run through. So oh wait, no, wrong one. My bad. Hold on. Actually, here, I've got it here. Let me just, yeah, thank you. There we go. So if you come over here, go to their website, and actually it'll talk about, so you can go to their, you can go to their website and you can come to staking, and it'll allow you to stake whatever you want on it, but you can also run a node, right? If you come over to, give me a second here. Where is the node section? Yeah, you can run a node, but you need to, I want to say it's something stupid. Like when I got into it, price was, where was price? Price was, I don't remember what price was, but I think it was something like $250 a coin when I did the node. But yeah, so what you're essentially doing is it's proof. So you have two ways that coins work, right? Coins, you either mine coins by proof of stake or you do it by proof of work. So when you think of like Ethereum and Bitcoin miners, that's proof of work. When you think of things like, what Ethereum's going to be going to, or things like Solana, things like, anything that you have to stake in order to produce coins. So like Superbid is a proof of stake. That's what this was. So you could create a node. You can come over here to their website and you can look at all of it. And you could just type in creating an Olympus Deo node and it'll walk you through how to do it. But at this point, it's not worth it because I want to say you have to do something like you have to stake like 10 or 20 coins, something like that. I don't remember what it was, but I mean, this thing is trading at, the hell's it trading at? $750. I mean, you've got to come up, if it's 10 coins, you've got to come up with $7,500 that you're just going to stake and put away that you can't have access to, you know, because I think it's a 9-month stake. Yeah. So yeah, this is one of them. You know, the other one that I do is Flux. So I have a Flux node. You can come over here and you can, so like this is one that I did where you can come over and you can, yeah, so you can either GPU mine it or you can do a node, right? You can see there's 2,234 nodes that are running. The only problem is that you have to buy a crap ton of to stake it. You know, you can read through how to do it. You could see here, you have to buy 10,000. There's 3 brackets, 10,000 Flux. So right now it's trading at $1.89. So let's just say $2. So you got to invest $20,000. Absolutely, no, you've got to invest $5,000 in order to even run the node. And essentially what you're doing is you're just running in the background. You know, like I've done videos on using Raspberry Pis. That's what I have. I have a Raspberry Pi with 4 gigs of RAM that is just connected to my, and it's essentially creating a link in the blockchain that transactions get done on. And you receive, well, you could see you receive 7.5% block rewards. So every time your node completes a transaction, you're going to get 7.5% of that. So, and obviously the more you stake, the more you get. You know, I do that with Flux. I do that with DPR, you know, so there's a bunch of ways that you can make passive income on the, you know, and I would just say, just dive into YouTube. There's all kinds of, you know, all kinds of tutorials and stuff like that. The thing is you want to get into these projects early. You know, and on Flux, like, so, like I said, I'm mining Flux as well, and you can see what the Flux chart has done. So, you know, I've been, you know, I personally bought Flux around like 20 cents, bought it again around 30, and then I'm mining it. So I'm making 50 Flux a day is what I'm making. Yeah, 50 Flux a day. So currently right now, you know, I'm making a little over almost $100, you know, almost $100 a day just by having my miners up and my node. So yeah, not every month or week, every block reward, right? Every reward. So it all depends on your reward, you know. So you make every, so like to give you an idea, let me just see what the reward is. So the reward is, where's the reward? Let me go over here. Hold on. Let's see. All right, so here you go. So a block reward is 75 Flux. So every time you make, every time your node, so you can see right now, like there's 16 nodes on here right now. Every time you do a node, right, when your node confirms a blockchain reward, you're going to get 7.5% of the 75 Flux that is made. So as people are conducting the transaction, so you do it in a pool, right? You're in a pool, and let me see, where is, so the average block time is every 120 seconds. So that's the average reward block. So you get 7.5% of the 75 Flux every time your pool creates or completes the transaction. So, you know, like I said, for me, I'm averaging about 50 Flux a day is what I'm making. You know, hopefully that makes sense. Didn't know I was a Marvel guy. Yeah, I'm a Marvel guy. my son names them, but yeah, we like it. So yeah, I've got two different GPU mining rigs that are mining this plus the node. So awesome. How do you find nodes so early? Honestly, like I'll tell you that this is what I do, man. Like I just come onto YouTube, and every day, like when I'm, I guess I have that luxury of I could just sit here and, things will pop up. Some people that I follow, like I follow a lot of crypto, a lot of, a lot of different avenues that provide some crypto information. And once that comes out, I just kind of dive into it. I'll tell you one of the guys that I like to follow, Tactical Investing. This guy right here is he used to be in the U.S. Air Force. I mean, he's got almost 70,000 subscribers, but this is somebody I'd look up and just kind of follow. He's got a ton of videos, and he dives into how to create some of these nodes, some of the early investment nodes. You can see here, this is where I actually got the leg up on Olympus.io. Same thing with Illuvium. I got into Illuvium as well. DPR was one of them that I got from him. So yeah, I mean, this is stuff that, helium mining way back when I got into helium mining, this is where I get into. So, this is somebody I follow, a bunch of other people, and, you kind of just, like I said, do your due diligence, dive into it. YouTube's a great avenue. Reddit is another one. The Reddit posts are another one that I get into. You want to get on GitHub and stuff like that, a lot of these places. So, but cool. Awesome. All right. Well, listen, guys, my head's pounding. So I'm going to call it a night. Hopefully you guys got some good information out of this. And if you guys have any other questions, like I said, hit me up in the Discord there. I will, I'll try to answer. Just keep in mind this, like I probably get, I don't know, in the course of a 24-hour period between all my Instagram, my Facebook, on Discord, I probably get close to like 600 messages. So if I don't answer right away, it's probably that. Like I just haven't had the time to really, get into it. So, but other than that, awesome. I'm glad I can jump on here and give you guys some information. And yeah, I'll see everybody later, man. Have a good one. Thank you very much.